We have rumors going crazy, guys, so let's take a minute to talk about it. Hollyfield News on Twitter, they have a decent record on dropping news. A few months back, they dropped this little tidbit here on Thor 5. They told us Thor 5 will reportedly be the last installment of the franchise. Hercules is set to be one of the main villains of the project, but will turn and help Odinson in the end with a much bigger threat. The film is also set to introduce Thor's half-brother, Balder the Brave. We recently got an Easter egg for Balder in Loki Season 2, so he's out in the MCU somewhere. Valhalla will be revisited in the film, and Marvel Studios is currently looking for someone to help helm the project. Okay, so let's go ahead and break this little tidbit down first. We're introduced to Hercules, played by Brett Goldstein, in Thor: Love and Thunder, so hearing he will be a part of the film should come as no surprise. I am also not shocked that it might be the final Thor solo project, but I wouldn't be surprised if Thor didn't continue to show up in Avenger films. He is, after all, an immortal god. We did get a mention of Balder the Brave in Loki Season 2, when in Episode 3, Loki and Mobius are at the World's Fair and find a building with a Norse god on it and 3 pillars. One of the pillars is Odin, one is Thor, and one is Balder, to which Loki says, and why did they even include Balder? No one's even heard of him. To which Mobius replies, sure they have, Balder the Brave. You know, sometimes I forget you're one of them. Blows my mind. Now, Balder has not been in the MCU yet, but he nearly has. 4 times, in fact. Costume designer Graham Churchyard, in an interview with comicbook.com, said, we got very far designing Balder the Brave, and then we were waiting on casting. I took it to the prototype stage. We were kind of in that design thing, getting fabrics together and ideas and waiting for an actor. Poor Balder the Brave. He almost made Thor 1 and Thor 2 and Thor 3. Then it's just like, yay, he's going to get an appearance. Poor guy. I've seen designs, Marvel's archive book, of Balder's helmet going back to Kenneth Branagh's Thor. So he's been a long time waiting, and I don't think he's going to make an appearance anytime soon. Okay, with that being said, he also nearly appeared as part of the Illuminati in Multiverse of Madness, and rumor had it Daniel Craig was supposed to play him, but for whatever reason, they didn't go that route. So will we in fact see him in Thor 5? Well, I for one think it's probably fairly likely that we will. As for that last bit about not having anybody to helm the project, well, they gave us a little update, so let's give it to you guys. Thor 5 is looking to start production in late 2025. Gareth Edwards, Chloe Zhao, and Kenneth Branagh are top choices at Marvel to direct. Valhalla is going to be revisited in the film, where Thor will gain some extraordinary abilities. Beta Ray Bill and Thor Corpse will be introduced through the multiverse events. Amora the Enchantress appearance will tie into the Secret Wars. All right, so let's start with the directors first. Branagh directed the first Thor film, and while I have gone on record as saying it was not one of my favorites in the MCU, it wasn't his directing so much as the storyline. I just thought it was a little slow. I know talks have suggested they want to be a bit more serious with the next Thor installment, although I hope they don't stray too far into the serious realm. Anyway, with that, Branagh makes sense, as does Gareth Edwards, who of course gave us The Last Jedi, and in my opinion, one of the best Star Wars films ever, Rogue One. Chloe Zhao is also a Marvel alum with The Eternals. Again, not a favorite with Marvel fans, and I personally think it's a decent film, but I do get where people were a little put off. But as I mentioned with the first Thor movie, it isn't necessarily the directing I think people had an issue with, so much as the story and the lack of connection to the Marvel they knew, and she too is a very competent director, so it's possible. As for Thor in Valhalla, well, who knows? Thor's had variants in the comics, so what abilities he might obtain are up for debate right now. Beta Ray Bill and the Thor Corpse. Beta Ray Bill is an alien that is able to wield Mjolnir and receives the power of Thor when he does. In truth, he wins the right to carry Mjolnir in the comics, but Odin instead has Eitri forge him his own weapon, which is Stormbreaker. Now, since Mjolnir and Stormbreaker are both in the MCU, well, we could see where part of this story might go. Just saying, we can skip some of that, and he can wield Mjolnir and he could give him Stormbreaker, whatever. As for Thor Corps, well, there are two versions of them in the comics, but given where we are in the MCU and the rumors of Battleworld, I find it likely that the Battleworld's Thor Corps will be the ones we see if it happens. Now, Beta Ray Bill was part of the OG Corps, so there might be some melding of the two maybe, and that would make sense too. Other members we could see are Sif, Valkyrie, War Machine, She-Hulk, Sam Wilson, Groot, Gamora, Destroyer, Blade, and Throg, who are all part or will be part of the MCU and are still alive to be part of the Corps. As for Amora the Enchantress, well, this could be kind of interesting as well, because there are two versions of her. The original and then the version that Sylvie Lushton becomes in the comics. Now, we know we have a version of Sylvie introduced as a variant of Loki in the Loki series. The first Enchantress is an Asgardian who is sent to kill Jane Foster by Odin, who sees her as a distraction for Thor. She is also a pretty major part of, surprise, surprise, Secret Wars, and as we have heard with so many of the rumors stirring around right now, all roads seem to lead right back to Secret Wars, so I could see that happening. Now here's something else. Hemsworth has stated he wants a darker tone to Thor if he does another movie. And there is a really dark storyline in the comics called Chaos War that sees Thor and Hercules team up to battle the Chaos King, Amatsu Mikaboshi, who is able to enslave and lead an army of the dead. That story also has characters introduced, including Cersei and Silver Surfer, already in or coming to the MCU. Now, with rumors of Marvel considering bringing back characters who have died, well, I'm just saying this maybe could happen. Anyway, guys, there you have it. Thor news. Guys, I just want to tell you, you rock so much, and I thank you so much for following the Movie Mix on TikTok. And for those who are following on our new YouTube channel, please, please like, share, subscribe, and check out the sponsors. And until we chat again, just give Eternals another shot. The second time around is better. At least it was for me. Anyway, stay awesome, guys.